Hello guys, welcome back to Speakers Corner podcast right here on Culture Hub TV. And yes, it has been a minute, guys. I missed you. I really missed you. Of course, we've been up and down trying to chase some other stuffs, but here we are. Back to our topic of today, guys. Today I want us to have a candid convo. No, it's not a convo, right? Neither is it a dialogue, it is a talk, because with convo it has to be two or more parties for it to happen. And yes, today I'm just alone over here talking to you guys. So, I was thinking earlier and I just thought maybe we could dive somehow deep in these political issues affecting our country, and to just try and see or trace back on what really went wrong or what happened and why are we here. Why are we here, and why are we here? So, of course, Kenya Kwanza regime have been having a migraine. This is, if I'm being honest, and you guys know, Ruto and his crew, these guys, I don't think if for the past 3 weeks or even a month, they've been having some good sleep, because we all know Gen Zs have been terrorizing their ego, they have been terrorizing their actions, and even whatever they speak. Like, Gen Zs have been so critical on Kenya Kwanza government. And I was asking myself, of course, we all know Gen Zs, as they say, they are leaderless, tribeless, and of course, partyless, right? Yes, but of course, there must be some triggering effect, or someone who sometimes might call a shot for others to follow. There has to be a cheerleader. As much as, yes, someone might not come out and say they are speaking on behalf of Gen Zs, but there must be a character, a special character who at some point might be coming up with ideas. Guys, we should do this and that, and of course, now the whole crowd follows. And in this case, I wanted us to at least try and know who is Boniface Mwangi.
Mad cowards. We decided to stay out of trouble and not talk about it. 10 months later, I quit my job. I said I could not stand it anymore. After quitting my job, I decided to organize my friends to speak about the violence in the country.
Boniface Mwangi has been so vocal about this stuff, and he has been at the forefront, and at some point, I'm sure you will remember, just the other day he was arrested with another fellow. That was towards occupying parliament. You remember that time he was arrested and he was chained. I remember him coming out on of the Defender, or how do we Land Cruiser, the police vehicles, we call them Mariam. He was coming out of Mariam like a freedom fighter. You know how the signs that freedom fighters show or portray when they are fighting for people, the amount of courage, how amazed they are, because he was alighting to that car and crowds were there. It was around, I think it was in Kamukunji police station where he was being taken. So and of course, when this dude was arrested, I remember Gen Zs did not take it lightly, because they went directly to the government. They remember them calling out Inspector General IG Koome. Yeah, I remember Kenyans being vocal about it on Twitter, calling out Koome for restricting people from depicting their what is expected with them, because again, we know Kenya is a democratic country, and we have that freedom of speech, and of course freedom to express whatever we have, as much as or as long as you don't intimidate the other people's freedom. And at this case, of course, Boniface Mwangi wasn't going against the law. So yes, Boniface Mwangi has been there, but guys, the big question is, do you really know Boniface Mwangi? Because I think it is very well that we all try and find out who Boniface Mwangi is, what he's been doing, what he stands for, and why is he or why do Gen Zs trust him so much to lead them in these matters, as much as, yes, just like I said earlier, he does not represent their wishes, or he does not speak for them, but he at least called the shots, or he organized when to do this, when, and of course we've been seeing some grievances from Gen Zs. Of course it has been all there on the social media, and I'm sure you guys were asking yourselves who sits down and comes with these grievances. I don't know if it's Boniface Mwangi, but for sure I want to have some trust that he has something to do with it. So Boniface Mwangi, he's a guy, he does not come from a rich family or a rich background, because I was trying to just read a little bit about him, and he did not have the best education, or he did not even school from the got his education from the best school in the country, because he is born from a woman who was just a businesswoman, and the mother was selling books. You know, he was vending books, and Boniface Mwangi happened to also helping her mother do this kind of stamps, walking around or moving around the country just vending books, and until around on 2000 when he lost his mother, and he did not attend secondary school, that's for sure. But and you know, that's the contradictory part, because I was asking myself, how is it possible that a man like Boniface Mwangi with no secondary school education is able to pull this amount of knowledge? Because again, for those of you who have listened to Boniface Mwangi, the guy is an elite. Like, the guy is intelligent. He knows so much about the government that even some of us who've been to secondary schools, we can't even get near to where he is. And of course, as we all say, education does not define someone, but he had aspirations of becoming pastor, and at some point, after his mother died, he enrolled in a college where he studied Bible, and he graduated with a diploma in Bible studies, because his aspiration was to be a pastor. And from there, I guess, while in that college, in theology college, he developed interest in photography. And that's when this dude became a photojournalist activist, you know. Because again, for those who know him very well, you must know that he trended a while ago with those photos from 2007 post-election violence, where he could he gave out best photos of police or people, the tribal clashes. The guy was able to pull out a very good stance, a very good photos, and yes, it went viral. I even remember CNN awarded him as the best photographer of the year at that matter. And yes, from there, I think this dude developed some interest in politics and social politics, and also decided to venture into or decided to become a human rights activist. So he's been there. Of course, he's been actively criticizing the government since that period of 2007, because, you know, some politicians weren't happy with him. You know, of course, once you shine, of course, there's always someone on the dark. For you to shine, someone else must be your shade, or must be on the shade. So Boniface Mwangi, he became a star from 2007 post-election violence, and from there, as I said, he's been actively criticizing the government, and one of the times that he stood out is after the death of Jacob Juma. You remember we had a Jubilee government biggest critic, who was Jacob Juma, who, again, he was just murdered. We don't know what happened, but his body was just found in his home, and cats were there. And I remember his body was found after after going missing for like 3 days is when he was found. His body inasemekana alikuwa amekatwa into pieces. It is just a tragic death. And Boniface Mwangi, without fear of contradiction, he declared that the person who had murdered Boniface Mwangi was none other than our current president, of course, Mr. Samoei William Ruto. And you know, this did not go well with the then Deputy President William Ruto. William Ruto was angered by this, because Boniface Mwangi was back to back on Twitter. By the way, Boniface Mwangi was so active on Twitter. He accused this guy of killing Jacob Juma, because Jacob Juma, again, was he had this the guy was so knowledgeable about matters technology, because I remember that's the time that also IEBC were reforming their on how they transmit their data, because it was, I guess, the period that we were advancing our technological system on matters of IEBC. And so there was some issue of passwords and IEBC passwords, and it is just said that due to that, the then regime, Jubilee, decided to put him 6 feet under. And yes, it happened. We don't know whoever killed Jacob Juma, but according to Boniface Mwangi, he said Mr. William Samoei Ruto was the main suspect, or was the person behind Jacob Juma's death.
My life is under threat, and I was threatened by the deputy president, because the threats came through that. And actually the person who delivered the threats no longer lives in this country, had to leave the country for good, because he betrayed a friend. And now this is the way this country works. That people have died in this country, not because Uhuru said they should die, or Ruto, but because the people around the president, the deputy president, think, let's eliminate these guys because it's a problem. So our plan may be schemed, and even the guys who are running this country don't know it's been schemed. So when this one person came and told us, his life was jeopardized.
Oh.
So he had to leave the country.
Yes. William Ruto did not take that easily, and of course he sued Boniface Mwangi for defamation. The case went on, and of course Boniface Mwangi lost the case. He lost the case because, you know, sometimes when you are fighting for such cases, as much as you are a human rights activist, you need some substantiative amount of witnesses. And I even remember they went ahead saying, or William Ruto went ahead, or lawyer of William Ruto went ahead claiming that Boniface Mwangi had just a forged witness, like he has paid someone to witness against the then deputy president, and those were some of the reasons why this guy lost the case. And yes, after hapo hivyo issues came, because again he started saying that his life was in danger, because it was around 2016. I remember it was around 2016. He said his life was in danger. William Ruto wanted to kill him, na nini people were following him because alikuwa ameaccuse the deputy president. But again, he formed a party and stood as a candidate for Starehe member of parliament with his party yenye mwenyewe alikuwa ameform, and unfortunately he lost.
And I come back, and then that's when I'm running for office. There was no support system. I think the only person who made an attempt to help me, there's Defenders Coalition who bought the tickets, and then there is Amnesty, Modoni Wanyeki, who gave my family about $500,000 or 600,000 shillings for support. But you have 4 people in the US, and you're living, you know how life expensive is in the US.
Aku manage was sent to the power, and at some point within that period he decided to go to exile. From 2017, alienda in New York, where he's been staying. He himself claimed he was in exile because his life was in danger. People were threatening, people on the political class, from the political class, were threatening him. And yes, he's been there for a while, for a minute, until just the other day when he came back. Not soon, not that much soon, but maybe around 2019, 2020, he jetted back to the country, where he's been, yes, he's been in the country in and out, because his son na familia yake, they've been in the US. Watoto familia yake wamekuwa wanasoma US. So he himself has been here in and out, but he has been still doing the same, especially on Twitter, on digital platforms. He's been criticizing the government. So Boniface Mwangi, what happened is that he after him actively criticizing the government, nadhani just recently, the wave, you know, sometimes, of course, sometimes light inaweza ikakufavor, or if you are meant to be a star, then there is always nothing that can stop you from being a star. And just the other day, he put a stance when the Gen Z's movement, in fact, it is not when, but he was amongst the first people trying to call out the president on social media, telling them that these new tax measures or the proposed budget was going to punish the poor people, the hustlers, when Kenya Kwanza had campaigned on the same issues of punitive taxes and uplifting those on the streets, empowering the youths. And so, yes, he just reminded them that you guys are losing it, because if you campaigned for and saying you are going to reform the system, the issue of taxes and employment, yet here again you are here doing the same thing that our oppressors were doing by then you people are just hypocrites, you know. And yes, the wave worked on his favor. People started following whatever he was saying, and people now gained courage. They started being vocalist about it, and since then, whatever has happened is a history. Of course, it's history. Boniface Mwangi did not stop there, because again, we remember one of the historic events that has happened during this peaceful protest is when Kenyans invaded the parliament, you know. Of course, no one has tried that before, but Boniface Mwangi went ahead calling out the Gen Zs, telling them that, you know what, guys, and I remember this is after Gen Zs had peaceful protests on the streets asking parliamentarians or the MPs to not pass the bill on the first reading, but they went ahead passing it. So he went to social media where it all started and told them, you know what, guys, if these people are not listening to us, then we must occupy the parliament. We should just go there to the parliament, make sure that while they will be voting on the second reading of the bill, we will be outside there. We want them to listen to us. We want them to listen to our cries. We want them to listen to our grievances.
Tuma tunakwambia ambia kome, Tuesday tuko hapa. Tuesday tunakuja hapa. Tuesday tunaoccupy hapa. Hii bunge ni yetu, uniform ni yetu, bunduki ni yetu. Everything here is yetu. Taxpayers. Hata hii barua ni yetu. So on Tuesday tuonane hapa. Mwambie kome na mtumie SMS hii. Niwaambie tupatane hapa Tuesday. Mwende reinforcement hapa Tuesday tunaoccupy hapa. Members of parliament must listen to us. Tumesema tutaki finance bill, hatutaki hata kidogo. They must vote no.
That is one of the historic events, because the Gen Zs, you know what, they heeded the call and they went there, while the parliamentarians, because again I remember this is also the first time that these parliamentarians or these MPs were scared of the public, or I just don't know, they were afraid, because this for the first time is that period of time when MPs did not even take more than 1 hour debating and voting, because what happened about the second reading is it all happened within 1 hour. They went there, they just read it, the speaker read the clause, and that's it. These people just voted within that 1 hour. It was for the shortest period. But again, after it happened, some people stormed. Of course, it is to public domain that the people who stormed parliament were not the Gen Zs, the peaceful protesters. It is the goons. And yes, someone might believe that because we all know Gen Zs are not capable of doing that, or I don't know. I'm not here taking sides, but what I just know is that that event is historic. So Boniface Mwangi, from that, you know, he thrived, and of course, kudos to him. Kudos to him. No one has done this before, and I think it has just happened that the period when Kenyans really needed it, because, you know, of course, as they say that you cannot stop an idea whose time has come. And maybe this is that time that this kind of idea of revolution, economic revolution, political revolution, and of course, even judicial revolution is due. So Boniface Mwangi has been there, and of course, just the other day we had the Saba, you remember. Saba is, for those of you who do not know, is that special day when Kenya became a multi-party state in 1991 or 1992, yeah, 7th of July. We became a multi-party state. And so we normally, yearly, we commemorate that day. And this year's Saba, Boniface Mwangi decided to do it in a special way, but by, of course, doing a commemoration of those people whom we lost in the peaceful protest. You remember the police have been attacked, or they have been blamed of killing peaceful protesters, and so we used that time to commemorate them. The event was successful. Gen Zs were out there. People, you know, they chanted Ruto out, Ruto must go, Ruto must go, and
No, there's no dead revolution. The revolution never ends. It continues because change is incremental. So what you're fighting for must continue being fought for. So we're here today to mark a very memorable day in this country, Saba. That's when Kenya changed forever, when multi-party was introduced, and then people died on that particular day. And you're here to commemorate that Saba, and also the new Saba, the new Gen Zs, and what they're doing in this country. By their actions, within 2 weeks, Kenya's changed forever. We had some illegal offices in our government. They've been abolished. The government is listening now because of the protests. So we are kind of happy, but there's also a lot of sadness because so many people died for the government to listen. As of today, we have 51 dead because you have over 100 people in the hospital with gunshot injuries, and they're succumbing to those injuries. So we're also mourning, and we're telling the families of those who lost their loved ones, we're with you, and we shall honor that sacrifice. We have a concert, and then now we have to push the government to implement what they spoke about, because a PR exercise or a speech is not action. So this coming week is Monday. We want to see if the government is going to change their tone, the expenditure, the arrogance. Let's see if they're going to get change.
And are you happy so far with what was announced on Friday?
What is it? It's too little, too late. We need much more. We need pay cuts. We have, our president has like guzzlers and guzzlers of cars that he travels with. He's ever traveling. He's never in the country. He has a very big government. We have excessive civil servants. These have to change. This country is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. When he spoke about it, things on Friday, he never said anything about corruption. He never even said anything about recovery what has been stolen. We are servicing debt, right? But they're servicing money that was stolen. Why can't we recover the money that was stolen from the people who stole the money?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gen Z indeed is a movement. At this point, I don't know if indeed Boniface Mwangi is the one to speak on behalf of Gen Zs. That I'm not sure. But what I know is that Boniface Mwangi has been so vocal about this issue. He's been so vocal about encouraging Gen Zs to not be afraid to stand up for themselves, because if you don't stand up for yourself, no one will stand up for yourself. And at this point, I think we really need to appreciate this guy's effort. We really need to clap for him, because, you know, it takes much for you to be in that platform, for you to stake your life, you know. Because what he has been doing, he's been staking his life all along. He's been arrested more than I could count, you know. He's been in, out. And again, just my biggest question is, of course, you know, the government has been there saying that someone must be funding the Gen Z movement or something. And I was just asking myself, are we our own funders? The Gen Zs, are we funding ourselves? Yes, during protest, we at some point funded ourselves, because I remember there were pay bills for us to send money there to buy waters, you know. Of course, at some point, we had the doctors who came to the streets to help us. Those who were being victimized by police, the first aid doctors were there. But, you know, in Uhuru Gardens, where the Saba commemoration was, the event, someone must have funded that event, you know. Boniface Mwangi said that there is his foreign friends who came through for him, gave him some few coins here and there, and used to organize for events. Because again, another thing that makes the event to be cheaper is that no artist who performed there was paid. They just came there because we are speaking the same thing. We are one nation, and we are all patriots, and we want the same thing. Just the other day, a contradictory statement from the president came saying that there are foreigners who are funding this thing. And you know, guys, I'm just trying to try and relate whatever Boniface Mwangi the other day on Saba said, that he has some friends outside the country who actively gave him some coins here and there. Could that be the reason why president now believes that there's some foreign people, some foreign parties out there trying to intimidate his government? Guys, that's it. That's all about Boniface Mwangi. In case you didn't know Boniface Mwangi, now you know. And of course, this is Speaker's Corner podcast right here on Culture Hub TV. And of course, I am your host, Presenter Dante. Until next time, goodbye.